同志们，好同志们，我们都在轰轰烈烈的站起来，站起来。Welcome to the 262nd edition of China Now with your gang of two. Nan Su, who is a senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times, and yours truly, Michael Olson, who was personally dissuaded from being a China hound by the great helmsman himself, Mao Zedong. Each week, Nansu and I look out across the broad expanse of the Pacific Ocean from our home port here at SantaCruzVoice.com, and we ask, China now, friend or foe, war or peace? Ni hao, Nansu.
Pretty good, Michael. Here we go, another week.
Another week. Nansu, for the past month and a half, it's been some very intense observing for the both of us as we have plowed through a number of major events with respect to China and China and U.S. relationships as well. So I thought we would take a step back and go through this past month, look at some of those events, see if we can draw any conclusions. And of course, we should note that drawing any conclusions is very difficult with respect to anything that has anything to do with the Chinese Communist Party, because we lack any way of seeing what's actually going on. All we really know is what we are told by the CCP, and that is what they want us to see and nothing else. That a fair summation on that one?
Well, there are some observations that taking place. Usually, the Chinese Communist Party's media,
Yes.
the way they report things has it gave you a lot of hints, but if only if you know how to read them. And be honest with you, this is not only how foreigners try to understand China. That's also different level of Communist Party officials. They try to understand what's going on in the top leadership circle. They all do that. So if
So,
you
so it's
if
not
you
just you and I, right? It's
no, we are not the
them.
only one in the black box,
Yeah.
but also even all different level of Chinese Communist Party officials, they are all as part of you know.
What's going on? Maybe that explains why whenever one sees a video of a Chinese Communist Party meeting, everybody is sitting there staring blankly ahead as if they were to display any kind of emotion or anything. People would look at them and read things into their expressions that might not be there. So instead of being very expressive, they're not expressive at all, and that's probably a self-defense mechanism when it gets right down to it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of because you don't know, right? So you
No,
make
no.
certain judgment, and also you have all these rumors going around all the time, and then you have to make judgment based on your own instinct as well as your connections and then because any move that's mistake could cost your whole career, right? That's what happened. Even
Very much so. And we'll pick that thought up when we discuss President Trump's bilateral meeting with Xi Jinping later in this conversation here, because um, what I saw there was very, very interesting, because you had the non-expressive Chinese side, and then across the table you had President Trump looking at him, and he was, almost leaning over the table, looking at Xi Jinping, looking for some kind of expression on either him or his associates, and not seeing anything. It was really, really amazing to see Trump's expression on that one. And
well, I you know why I call Xi Jinping, when Trump met with Xi Jinping,
what
I
was that?
I call him a smile timber.
A smile timber? It's like what, a smile tree or something like
Or
that?
yeah, it's a smiling tree.
A
He's like,
smiling tree.
you have Trump, making all different kind of gestures and talking, and he's
Laughing
there
and smiling.
smiling,
Yeah.
and he's just smiling. He doesn't have any response at all. Even you hear all these translators trying to translate whatever Trump is saying, into Chinese. He's just smiling and saying nothing, and he's kind of a numb to the environment.
Which it probably is a pretty good survival instinct when it gets right down to it. It's often said that he was selected by the party because he was a person who didn't make a lot of waves at the time. So that's probably a survival mechanism for him. But anyway, I thought we'd go back and start with the making note of the lack of opacity. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at the great ball game from the nosebleed seats, and it's a tule fog on the field, so we see things moving around, not certain whose side they're on sometimes. September 3, the PLA's Great Victory Day parade in Tiananmen Square. So the Chinese, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, celebrating the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression. So one of the things we made note of that event, Nansu, was the fact that the CCP didn't win anything.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's a part of the United Front work strategy that Chinese the CCP always said the Chinese people won the war, and they don't say who actually. They always emphasize that they basically through that whole process they focus that was Chinese people who won the World War II, but they never mentioned it was Republic of China, which is the Taiwan's government today, who defeated who was the alliance of the who was the ally as a part of the alliance, anti-Nazi alliance during World War II. So by saying the Chinese people won the World War II, defeat the Japanese, they basically wipe out the credit of the Republic of China.
And the real winner, of course, on the Chinese side was the Kuomintang, which was Chiang Kai shek's army, which eventually lost the Revolutionary War to the People's Liberation Army.
That was correct.
And they then had to skedaddle over there to Taiwan, and that's where they've been ever since. Now, the other thing that was interesting about the September 3 parade, victory parade, is that there was a lot of speculation that Xi Jinping would not be the man doing the reviewing. And yet there he was. He was at the leadership of that whole event. But what caused all the speculation as to whether he would or would not be there was the fact that so many of his top generals have been disappeared over the course of the last year, and didn't seem to matter. There he was.
Well, it didn't seem to matter because most of the people thinking that those generals would lift up to their positions by Xi Jinping, and they are the Xi Jinping faction. That's what they say,
Mhm.
which is basic. I think it's a mistake because in the entire Chinese military, pretty much every general was promoted by Xi Jinping. So you can't say, just because a bunch of them on the top leadership circle of the Chinese military actually was purged by Xi Jinping, therefore he lost his power. Uh, but you look at all the new ones, there's a new wave of generals that's coming, and they are still going to need Xi Jinping's signature for their promotions. So it doesn't really make much you know, as I say, I love to see that's what truly happened,
Right, right.
but it's not because there was a lot of talk about Zhang Youxia, the second man in Chinese military who doesn't listen to
Yes,
Xi
he's the
Jinping,
vice
who
president of the Central Military Commission, right?
yeah, they say there is a cope, I would love to see the cope to happen, but it's not going to happen. It's very hard for that thing to happen,
Yeah.
because Zhang Youxia knows. See, this is a religion, the Chinese military. It's a it's CCP's a military. That's a religion for
Mhm.
China religions for the Chinese military. So if Zhang Youxia started make the first shot to destroy that religion, soon there will be the second guy that do the same thing,
Well,
repeat.
that's
So
exactly right. We should make note that the People's Liberation Army does not belong to China. It's not a function of China. It's a function of the Chinese Communist Party.
that's right.
So,
So if whoever had military power actually, which is impossible, we analyze that the whole system how it was set up. But basically, it's almost impossible for
mhm,
someone to start a coup against the party secretary general. So it's on every level, every unit. You have a party um, organ over
right.
there.
And a big part of the communist military, both Russia and both the Soviet Union and China, is that every military unit has a political officer.
That's right.
So you have a military guy and you have a political guy.
And the
In
political guy, it's really the top guy for that unit. It's just like that, you look at the whole country, whole nation, China, the national chairman, it's never the top, the top guy, but the party secretary general, it's the real top leadership
you know,
of whole China. It's the same setup.
so with respect to the parade, the victory parade, there was a lot of speculation, mostly by me, I guess.
No,
I
believe
was
me,
there was a lot of me's.
there was a lot of
Yeah,
this kind of talk, outside of China, which
not so much inside, but at any rate, it was Xi Jinping who was standing up in the convertible.
Even Fox News talk about that.
Yeah, so there was a lot of speculation that Xi Jinping would not be there. He was there, and so that quelled a lot of thoughts because it said in no uncertain terms that Xi Jinping is still in charge of the military, if only nominally. We don't know if he's really in charge or not, and that's
Well, my analysis, which we talked about it before, basically, it's Xi Jinping trying what Xi Jinping is facing. It's not only he's facing a lot of opponents. Uh, you know, it's it's basically a whole generation,
right.
of opponents because they all climb up of their power ladder through this market economy age in China between the early 80s all the way to
We're making money, we're having fun, life is good, and all of a
right, right,
sudden,
right. So they don't have they are in their mind they're questioning, Xi Jinping's move, trying to bring CCP as well as the China as a nation back to Chairman Mao's ideological base. So in Xi Jinping's eye, all these whole generations, officials, including the military officials, they all have the issues. So that's why Xi Jinping is going to replace them, wave after wave after wave. You just keep looking. There are more to come.
Okay, then we'll
Now,
pick that.
but however, which also means that anything that all the discussions have a certain base because people definitely see there are a lot of opponents inside the Communist Party trying to question, the past designed by Xi Jinping for the future of CCP and China.
And so that takes us to October 20 to 23, which is the fourth plenum meeting. And continuing the speculation was the fact that the fourth plenum was preceded by one day by the announcement that 9 of Xi Jinping's top generals had been fired and kicked out of the CCP.
Hmm.
So, why was that announcement made one day before the plenum?
No, it's a week.
Or
It's
was
a
it a
not one
week?
day. It's a week. It's about a week. Yes.
Okay, so right before the plenum, it was
Oh,
announced,
well, yeah, we explained that in the previous program, right? Because those nine generals, they are all the central committee members,
right?
right? The central CCP committee members,
And
and
there
then
are
if they
also, yeah, the Fujian clique of Xi Jinping, right? They were his handpicked people from Fujian province when they worked together there. Uh, and it was also called Xi's private army or his Xi's army, these generals.
Well, I would consider the entire Chinese
Fair
CCP
enough.
military, the con
Yeah,
the X's army right now.
yeah.
Okay, so now, like I said, Xi Jinping is facing the whole, generations, not only one generation, maybe one or two generations of top leadership, communist official as well as the military officials.
Because really nobody wants to go back to Mao's era,
Well,
except for Xi Jinping.
hold on. I'll put a question mark on that. Okay,
Okay.
so I would say, people, if everything goes smoothly, people have no problem going back to Mao. Those top Chinese CCP officials as well as military officials. If everything goes well, they don't care because what their power, their money, their
Yes.
corruption, wherever they got from the system, it's all from CCP, right?
Right.
So how to keep CCP's ruling power? It's the common ground for all these officials. Now, this is the key. That's why, a lot of people making mistake because Xi Jinping is able to convince all of them because they see the private economy as a threat to the CCP's ruling
Now,
power.
why would the private economy be a threat to to the CCP's power?
Well, because the CCP has to maintain its uh, control of Chinese economy, right? Now, the booming of a private economy already, threaten Chinese Communist Party's control of Chinese economy. You see that, you see, for example, Jack Ma.
Jack Ma
You know,
and the
you know,
Ant Group.
the
Yeah.
reason he was the Ant Group, the Ant Financial Group, created by him, was not able to IPO. Was just only took one phone call by Xi Jinping, and the reason for Xi Jinping to make that phone call to stop the IPO was because he openly criticized Chinese the Chinese
That's right.
government's financial system that's controlled by the CCP, right?
That's right. He
And
stood up and I think it was in front of an international symposium of some kind. Jack
yeah,
Ma said that, hey, come on, loosen up here.
yep.
Give us our
Now,
freedom, which
and
was not
also, he is representing. He's not only by himself. The reason he was there to do that was because he was supported by a wide range of foreign investors.
yeah,
So it's not the private Chinese private people getting to this the core of the whole Chinese Communist Party's economic system. That's the financial system, right? It's a financial system, right? It has its own bank. It just has
yeah,
it's a lot of things, financial services. All this is the essential to the Chinese government's control of China's economy. If they lose that, you know, that's how that and this whole thing didn't start from Xi Jinping himself, right? It started from the second term of Hu Jintao. In the second term of Hu Jintao, he already started, trying to suppress the
trying to pull back. Yeah,
private economy. So, in the first, under Deng Xiaoping and under Jiang Zemin, under that two leadership, the private economy, the market economy, and all these private sectors, they are so their combined power it's much smaller. So therefore, as long as they can help their operation can help China's economy to grow, they don't mind. But then
but
start from the
when you become big,
yeah,
like
when
the
you
ant
become
group,
bigger and bigger, and then especially you start getting into the core operations of the economy, like a financial, like a banking system, all these things, they start seeing you as a threat, as especially when you start criticizing the government's system, right? So
like Jack Ma did.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and he
So
was very powerful,
yeah.
and as was Li Keqiang. Remember when what Li Keqiang did to Xi Jinping as well? He was the vice premier, correct? He was like the vice president,
Li Keqiang was the prime minister.
prime minister. Okay, and so he conducted a Zoom meeting for thousands and thousands of CCP officials, in which he said that we're not making a lot of money. The half of our country is making less than what, $100 a month or something like that. But it was a
Yeah. It's a thousand, basically 1,000 yen a month. That's like about less than $150 a month.
so this was a direct and in that conference call, he called for the people to take back their lives and go out and start a business. Go out on the street and start something. Get things going here. And that too was a threat to Xi Jinping.
Yeah,
And
that's it's because Xi Jinping, before Li Keqiang make that statement, Xi Jinping basically said that he already claimed the victory of lifting the entire Chinese population out of poverty. Well, then Li Keqiang just poke the the big lie, right? So
he
now.
poked the big line. What happened to Li Keqiang?
Yeah, well, but here it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what happened to Li Keqiang. And then let's go back. I say there were three different type of people or Chinese officials. All of them, kind of like look at by Xi Jinping as his opponent.
Right. And Li
Now,
Keqiang was one of them for sure.
well, there are three different groups, right? One group is Li Keqiang who want to continuously promote the market economy, and number two the second group is the corrupted officials. The corruptions, um, looked at by Xi Jinping also as enemy of CCP's ruling power because the corruption is so big, it's big enough to rotten the roots of Chinese Communist Party's control.
So it's
Right?
endemic in Chinese Communist Party. You must be corrupt. It's the only way you can advance.
Well, it's still, the corruption, make people in Chinese, the people in China, the Chinese people hate the party for that, right?
Because they see the party gets all the goodies and the people go hungry.
That's right. So that's the second group. And then the third group, they are in certain way influenced by the Western philosophies. For example, there's one general, Li Yazhou, who came to California. He studied in Stanford University for a year. He went back. He was in jail. He's been in jail now, and then he trying to promote the idea of make this the military uh, become the belong to government, belong to the country instead of belong to the CCP. He promoted the idea, So he's been in jail. He was also a general.
Yeah.
So now the problem is all these three group of people. The reason they cannot win, it's because none of this group truly against the Chinese Communist Party itself.
Right.
They all know if they start something, if they take down Xi Jinping, then somebody will be the next to take them down too.
Sure.
That's why it is. The whole system basically it's very, very hard for someone who truly, who will truly against the party. If they don't against the party, then you have to basically set up your ultimate goal against the party instead of one
Yes.
person.
And when you go
Otherwise,
against when you
otherwise it's very hard for them to win this.
when you go against the party, you're going against everybody that's in the
That's right.
party. So you really have a tough row to hoe there when you try that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is China Now with your gang of two, Nan Su, Michael Olson. Today we're scaling back a little bit about over the last month and looking at some of the major events. The Great Victory Parade, which was I renamed it the Big Lie Parade, simply because the CCP didn't win anything in that one. It was the Guomindang. It was uh, uh, not theirs to claim, but they claim it anyway, and thus I call it the Big Lie Parade. The fourth plenum, which concluded a week or so ago, not too long ago in Beijing. A lot of rumors swirling about that one. We'll finish that up when we come back. And then we have the meeting, the bilateral meeting to talk about between Xi and Trump. What happened there? So this is China Now. We will be right back, so please do stay tuned.
Attention content producers. You can have access to a complete digital media production facility at Satellite Co-working and Digital Media Studio on SoCal Avenue. Easily rent video and audio equipment, a studio with green screen, editing suite, and audio booth, all at can't say no rates. Schedule a tour to see for yourself at satellitecoworking.com. Mention Santa Cruz Voice for 20% off your first reservation.
The wife says the boat's got to go, no problem. Stored at Anbar Self-Storage in U-Haul, easy off Highway 1 by the airport. 24-hour security for cars, boats, and RVs. Stored away at Anbar Self-Storage in U-Haul and Freedom.
You made the products, now you have to deliver. Anbar Self-Storage and U-Haul has the moving vans, shipping boxes, and packing materials you need to deliver them. Easy off Highway 1 on Airport Boulevard by the airport. Anbar Self-Storage and U-Haul in Freedom.
Get hooked up with affordable cannabis at your neighborhood Hook Outlet dispensary. We have locations in Santa Cruz, Capitola, and Watsonville. At each Hook outlet, you will find unmatched low prices on the Hook's unparalleled selection of top quality medical and recreational cannabis flower, vapes, drinks, gummies, and concentrates. The Hook outlets are Santa Cruz County's best source for the finest cannabis at the lowest prices. See for yourself. Stop by any Hook outlet and say hi. We'll see you there. HookOutlet.com.
With a little help from our friends, Santa Cruz Voice would like to rent or lease an office in Mid-County or thereabouts for our hosts and their VIP guests to conduct interviews. We are looking for 200 square feet, give or take, with secure access, and are willing to share with an existing business that has an extra office to rent. If you know of such a space, please let us know at info@santacruzvoice.com. That's info@santacruzvoice.com. And thank you for being a friend.我们为的来的，我们是中国现在 China Now. With your gang of two, Nansu and Michael Olson, looking across that broad expanse of that Pacific Ocean, trying to figure out China now, friend or foe, war or peace. Well, Nansu, there was one big thing about the fourth plenum that had a lot of people talking, and that was the number of people who did not show up. Of the 205 Central Committee members, only 168 attended. And of the 42 People's Liberation Army members that were available to attend, 27 attended. So almost half. So what happened? They call it
like I say, I think Xi Jinping is he's holding that principle of going back to the fundamental ideology of communism against many of the whole generation of the CCP officials as well as military officials. So they are taking down a lot of them. Now, go back to your original question, why the Fujian faction
yes.
Of the military was taken down.
A quick thumbnail for those who don't know what the Fujian faction is. Fujian is the province that is directly across the straits from Taiwan. If you're going to stage an invasion of Taiwan, you're a CCP, it's probably going to stage it from Fujian province. And so Xi Jinping was the mucky muck in Fujian for a while. And a lot of his friends and associates from Fujian, he brought with him to the CCP in Beijing. And so they became known as Xi's Fujian faction. And these are the people that essentially were canned right before the fourth plenum. And it was suggested that the person that did the canning or the firing was the CMC Vice Chair Zhang Youxia. So that is the kind of the issue that we're working right now.
Okay. Now, keep in mind, that's why I come to different understanding with a lot of people. Now, the reason, see, Xi Jinping has to start from somewhere, right? Xi Jinping, he think about it. The entire generation of Chinese government officials, party officials, military officials, doesn't matter. They have to, they all question the past of Xi Jinping.
Right.
So Xi Jinping has to start from somewhere. He cannot take every single one of them down. Right?
Right.
So he has to start from somewhere. It's the same pattern. You know who actually appointed Xi Jinping as the fifth generation leader?
What was it?
Jiang Zemin.
Jiang Zemin, yeah.
Yeah, look at how Xi Jinping, after he took control of power, how he fight against the Jiang Zemin's whole faction.
The whole faction, the Shanghai faction. Yeah,
Yeah, the Shanghai
exactly.
faction, he took all of them down, right?
Yes.
Remember?
And remember when COVID, he locked them all up,
Yep.
bolted their doors shut.
Yep. So now it's the same thing, the same process that he's going through. So he has to use, he manipulate this whole situation is like using certain factions against other factions. Some of the factions, he know and he has more control, and then he will use that against other factions until he controls more and more factions, and then he coming back going after his own factions, right? So he has to start from somewhere, So he start. None of them are in his eyes. All these people are, corrupted by the concept of market economy or the Western philosophies or all of these things. And look at by Xi Jinping, and that's why if there's a one person he never replaced. There's a you just look at that person, um, you see, the bottom line of Xi Jinping. That person is the Politburo member Wang Huning. Okay, Wang Huning. He is the hardline fundamental communist ideology holder. So he through he's been he's in the third term. In his third term as a member of a Politburo. So if you just and then everybody else changed. He's the only one survived. Why? Because he is fundamentally, driving this ideological war. The whole idea. He's provide all the bullets. He's writing all the central CCP documents, Xi Jinping's speeches, all that. It's done by him. So, and he's the only one survived, and he is the hardline fundamental communist, fundamentalist.
Okay. Let me pick up General Zhang Youxia, who seems to be quite a player in all of this too. A lot of speculation that he is the guy with the guns now, that maybe Xi Jinping doesn't have the guns. And of course, to the
I don't
communist.
think so. I don't think
Okay.
so. No, I totally disagree with that. That is, there's a lot of people don't admit that they misjudge the whole situation strategically, misjudge the whole situation. Uh,
Well, I may have misjudged the whole situation, but
there's a lot of people doing that.
Yeah,
I don't think Zhang Youxia has that kind of a power. So basically, he is well. First of all, Zhang Youxia, it's a very close. It's the first wave
sure, the
uh,
princelings.
of Xi Jinping's inner circle. Now, Xi Jinping was back in 2011. Xi Jinping inherited the top CCP leadership in 2012, but in 2010, basically people already know he's going to 20,
Sure.
he's ready to inherit the power from Hu Jintao. Now, you know what happened after you're appointed? Basically, you're set to inherit the top leadership. They allowed you to start forming your own circle, right?
Sure.
And Zhang Youxia was promoted in 2011 as the three-star general. At that time, Xi Jinping was the vice chairman of a Central Military Committee.
Yep.
So and Zhang Youxia was promoted to the top leadership circle because he was supported by Xi Jinping.
Yep. And they were very close, and they were both princelings.
Yep.
And their parents fought in the Revolutionary War together.
Yeah.
So they've been very close ever
They grew up together, right?
Yeah.
They knew each other from very young age. So he was basically picked by Xi Jinping as his military top leader, handpicked. So now and then all these things, I don't know why people start saying that he is going against the Xi Jinping. I don't know. I have no. I search and search. I found no base for all these rumors,
Well,
except just
that's just
rumors from
rumors. Yeah,
somewhere. It's just
everything's
rumors. Okay.
okay.
I found no base for that claim. But however, and the only thing I think it could come close to why people explain the things in that way. It's because you look at today's Chinese military, from one-star general up to three-star general, all of the generals, okay, Zhang Youxia was the only military general who was promoted to the three-star general position before Xi Jinping formally inherited the top leadership position. So maybe that's the reason people can start thinking, oh, maybe he is not Xi Jinping's faction or whatever. There, Otherwise, I just see uh, there's no base basically. Now, keep in mind there is a lot of princes really who are of CCP's a prince class people, the third, second, or third
And
generation.
when folks hear the word prince or princelings, it almost takes one to the days of the feudal society where there's a king and a court, and there are princes and princesses and whatnot, which is a big irony when you think about the CCP, because it was supposed to be the anti of everything of that. It was supposed to be
Yeah, the nobles, right?
the nobles, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So now, they all of them pretty much benefit from the market economy that's been growing in China for the last almost like 50 years, right? Ever since the end of the beginning, it all began from December of 1978, when they have the third plenum of the 12th national CCP conference.
And
The
this is
third
2 years
plenum.
after Mao's passing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it all started from December of 1978, right? So that was how the market economy and start growing in China. And Deng Xiaoping say, his famous statement of let a small group of people become rich first, right? So now, so all of these princelings, they all actually got rich, but however, all these people, in the eyes of Xi Jinping, they are, they are the corrupted. They
Oh,
are the corrupted generation, and they are also Xi Jinping. Look at them. You look at eventually Xi Jinping is going to go after all these people. Eventually, they're not yet. He
don't you think
arrested.
they know that?
I think they know
They
that.
must know that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if they do
But
know that,
well, but
wouldn't that give them the impetus to go after Xi Jinping now, or at least figure out how to control him? And maybe
well,
that's what General Zhang Youxia is all about.
how do you know Zhang Youxia doesn't agree with Xi Jinping?
I don't.
See, there's a problem. See, the problem it's the base, right? I'm a journalist. Basically, I if I heard something, I will go, the theory, need to have some factual base, right?
Yeah.
You have to have that. Now, a lot of rumors, meaning, there's all because Xi Jinping is basically facing a whole generation
Right.
communist officials, either corrupted or loyal to the Communist Party. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
He's facing a whole generation of them. Now, the problem is, uh, All of them have their own idea, but none of them actually dare to or willing to start this war pointing to the Communist Party. So that's why they cannot be unified together. They're not united because they all have their personal interest as the driver of their movement. None of them, because all their benefits are from the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP system, right? They want to hold up the system. They just want to replace the Xi Jinping. But Xi Jinping's strategy is exactly point to their weakness. Xi Jinping is using one group against another group, wipe out, and then they replaced by another group. He's doing one group by another group, and then nobody, uh, had none of and none of these individual groups are strong enough against the Xi Jinping.
And
So that and they're not united together because that they have the only common ground for them. It's the common ground for all this group. They need to hold up the CCP's ruling power.
well, that's what I wanted to put on the table here because I agree with you. There's only one thing that holds it all together, and that's everybody's dependency on the CCP, on the Chinese Communist Party. That's only thing that everybody wants to hold on to because that's the source of all of their wealth and all of their legitimacy and everything. So if that's the case, they can't have two factions going after each other and destroying the whole works. So it would seem to me that it would benefit all of them if they were to develop a detente between sides, a detente between the Xi Jinping faction and the other faction, which might or might not be headed by Zhang Youxia. But if they can develop a detente where
I think the Xi Jinping's strategy it's not using his own faction against certain this is a person. So that's why a lot of people making mistake
okay,
in the Chinese Communist Party's top leadership power struggle. There are two different kind of people in that struggle. Most of people looking they're all the same, or they're all going there after their personal interests, after their own. Xi Jinping just want to continue his legacy, and then everybody else want his position, for their own benefit. They all look at that as a grip for personal interest purpose. That's a total mistake. Okay, there are people who like He Weidong, all those group, they just want the power so they can continue to serve their personal interests. But there are other, but Xi Jinping is totally playing a different game.
uh-huh.
To Xi Jinping, it's totally different game.
What
That's
game?
why
What game is he playing then?
that's why I mentioned Huang Huning, the
Mm.
three-term Politburo member. Now, for the other factions, their goal is power. But for Xi Jinping, power is just a tool. It's a revenue. His goal is ideology. He's using the ideology of a communist party's ruling power, um, you know, to promote the ideology of a fundamentalist communism. So that's
He's
why
like the
nobody can unite it against him. So he's always using the whole party power against the one faction, not his own faction. But at the beginning, that's what he relies on. But gradually, it's totally changed after almost um, more than 10 years, more than a decade. Now it's 13 years now. The whole game changed. He is using he's you see, at the very beginning when he is against Jiang Zemin, His slogan is anti-corruption, right?
Right.
It's anti-corruption. See, nobody can, and he went to the public. He first published, all these corrupted detail of these all these officials. Uh, he's going against. He's trying to mobilize the entire nation against that person. But gradually, you see, there was less and less and less and less the details that he gave to the public. It's all internal, right? So why? It's because he's able to use this common ground because he realized nobody want to actually uh, going
Just
against the Communist Party's political system. So
is
he's
isn't that
able to.
isn't that Nantu exactly what Zhang Youxia is using as well in getting rid of Xi's faction, Fujian faction? Isn't he saying these people were corrupt and we have to get rid of them to save our party? No, you have to say no. This is radio.
First of all,
Hmm.
every general that's been taken down,
Uh-huh.
they have to be agreed by the entire Politburo, right?
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly my point. My point is that I think Zhang Youxia has some support in the Politburo or in the senior leadership of the CCP that is allowing him to stand up to Xi Jinping. And yet neither one of them have the wherewithal to overcome the other one, so they have to develop a little détente so that they can hold everything together.
okay. All those people saying Zhang Youxia against the Xi Jinping, I don't believe it because
Okay,
there's no base on that.
okay,
Okay.
fair
Now,
enough.
Zhang Youxia may not listen everything from Xi Jinping, which is true, and for every level of the military official. So, all the party official, they in certain ways they're not going to listen everything from the center. Otherwise, nothing can be done. Right.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think he's going against Xi Jinping. That's why the point is you have to differentiate. There are certain things he can, he may not listen to Xi Jinping, but there's a difference between, you know, uh, not listen to Xi Jinping and against the Xi Jinping. That's why everybody trying to see. A lot of people just don't like Xi
Well,
Jinping.
isn't that a détente? Isn't that when you're not getting along, when you're not agreeing, but you agree not to fight? That's kind of like détente, and that seems to me
Well, keep in mind, Zhang Youxia is just one of the 24 Politburo members.
right.
There was
And so
20.
he,
And
so
and all of these, all other 22, besides Xi Jinping, are handpicked by Xi Jinping. You
well,
just remember that.
okay. I will remember that as we take our top of the hour break. And ladies and gentlemen, this is China Now, down to Michael Olson. We've been talking about the events of the last month in China as they bear on us here in the United States. China Now, friend or foe. We are going to take a quick top of the hour break, but when we come back, we're going to look at the bilateral get together between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump in South Korea. What did they talk about? What did they decide? So stay tuned for that. It's going to be very interesting. This is China Now.